Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Dr. Heidi Business Psychologist Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Heidi. Today, I'm very excited to introduce to you a very special guest, Sam Mitchell. Hi, Sam. How are you?
Hello, good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So Sam has a nonprofit organization called Autism Rocks. And he's going to share a little bit about his story and how he developed this nonprofit organization. So Sam, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, hello everyone. My name is Sam Mitchell, and I do run a podcast called Autism Rocks and Rolls. And it is about autism and how we cope with daily struggles that you may or may not understand. Not the link, wow. So I've had big guests on the show like Dr. Temple Grandin and professional wrestler Mick Foley, along with many others with 14K downloads. And through the podcast, we've gotten sponsors, which has led us to a 501c3 federal nonprofit with a board of 7. They get to be a vendor for places and plan events, like local events. And I've done international speaking. I've spoken in Oklahoma, Orlando, and Canada.
Well, I think that's really fantastic, Sam, and I think that's really inspirational for a lot of people out there to know that there's no barriers in place that you can't overcome. And when you were talking at some of these lectures, what were some of the topics that you discussed and what did you cover?
Well, the autism is the basis, so as well inform that, but there are different elements to it. There's some that are just involving the podcasting part, like Podfest. That was just strictly podcasting, how it helped my life and how it's therapeutic for me. Then was one we did called ASET, which stands for Assistive Special Education Technology. We talked about autism and how technology can help it. I have my own belief on that, but I stick on the positive side. But then some are just my success story.
Absolutely. Well. You have a tremendous success story, Sam. Just, being able to be out there and running the nonprofit and, having all of these things, I think is just absolutely fantastic. For other individuals out there who struggle with autism, what do you think has been one of your keys to success, or any advice you can give them to help deal with autism and deal with the day-to-day things and be able to be as successful as you have been?
Well, it's going to sound harsh, but it's the truth. Society does not give us opportunities. It's not going to be given to us. It's just not fair, and it's sad, but it's the way it is. It's unfortunate, but whatever. However, if society won't give it to me, fine, I'll take it. So what I'm trying to lead to is make opportunities happen for you. Make them, instead of being a dreamer, be a doer. Like dreamers, like, I love this, but it's not going to happen. Dudes are like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And you know what? If it fails, I can at least say I tried, because I'd rather try than hide.
Oh, I think that's great advice. And I mean, we even say that for individuals who don't have the same barriers that you face. Everyone has their challenges in the workplace. I know even myself, I've had challenges just being a woman going into a leadership role. That in our society has already been a barrier. So I can understand what you're saying when you say society isn't always welcoming or understanding of individuals with autism and giving them that opportunity and that chance. How would you say to somebody in your position and encourage them? Like, what would be some of the language that you would use to try to get a no to a yes, to try to convince people to give you that opportunity?
Well, it's funny that you brought that up, because I'm going out to DC this Thursday, and that's what my next conference presentation is about, neurodiversity in the workplace conference. So I don't know if you did that on purpose or not, but ironically, there you go. But anyway, but the language here is this. Yes, there probably will be some difficulties in the long run, but you're missing out on a lot of pros. They're punctual. They are not want to make mistakes. They don't want to. And we can work with accommodations. Now, not special treatment. Now, I have a big difference, and here's an example. This is the best I can think of. Sure. An accommodation is 5-minute sensory break because there's so much noise going on. Not a long one, just to, refresh, get a group. All right, back out there. Special treatment is an extra day off because he is overloaded with work. And if that's the case, he should not be working. But that's just my opinion again.
Yeah. No, and I think that's completely a very valid point. And I think employers need to hear that too, that there is differences between making an accommodation for somebody and making, other allowances and things like that. And I think, you know, we definitely should be more open to allowing people to do that. Now, I have an interesting question for you, and I would very much be interested, and I think my listeners would be interested to hear what your thoughts are. There's TV shows out there now. Now there's The Good Doctor, right, who highlights autism, and that there's an autistic individual who can be a doctor. And now they're starting to bring out a show about a woman with OCD, can be a lawyer. Do you think that these shows help your causes, or do you think they hurt your causes?
Ooh, it depends on how they portray it,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest with you. I
Yeah.
think today they do a good job for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
but here's the issue. They're looking at the challenges and the special talent, but they're
Mm-hmm.
only focusing on the talent, not who they are as an individual. Like The Good Doctor, they're
Yeah.
just focusing on the doctor part. Let's
Right.
focus on him at home, just see what his home life is and how he thinks with getting a meal every day.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, this isn't the best way they portray it, but one of my favorite movies, and I'm not a movie guy, so to say it's one of my favorite movies is saying something, but one of my favorite movies is Forrest Gump.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't portray it right, but, you know, they showed success no matter
Mm-hmm.
what he went through. I mean, he got bullied. He couldn't sit on the bus anywhere. He had one friend, but look what he did. He did what I like to do, eating up the plate, moving on to the next one. So he did ping pong, served the war, get married, have a kid. He
Mm-hmm.
he ate at different plates versus them just focusing on that one aspect of the talent too.
Mm-hmm.
So
So then, you know, my next question to you too is, if people can overcome that initial barrier, and as you said, make those actions, do the things that are good for them, advocate for themselves, and they are able to break down those barriers and get into a position that they want to be in, but they're maybe not met with a workforce either being customers, vendors, other employees that they're working with, maybe they're not met as favorably as the leadership team that brought them on. Do you see that being a big challenge too, to integrate into the community, so to say?
well, I mean, I think wherever you go, and that's good enough for you. Even if it's at the lowest point of just writing names on coffee cups for
Yeah.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
That's enough for me right there. You're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I have an example with this. One of my friends who's not on the spectrum at all, but I just know him up there. I think he has anxiety, really bad anxiety, but he would not be a good leader. He would just be all over the place and functioning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he doesn't go to college because it'd be so stressful for him. I do, but he doesn't. But the point is, he still goes to work.
Yeah.
He works at Walmart and gets up and goes to work. And
Yeah.
that's enough for him. That's enough for me. And we need people out there doing these basic jobs.
Mm-hmm. No,
Now, personally, that's not enough for me. That's
Yeah.
not. Just as a person, that's not. But for him, if that's enough for him, great.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for him.
Yeah. And I think that's an important message, is that we can't compare, regardless of disability or no disability. We should never compare ourselves to other people, right? We should be looking at ourselves internally. What is our happiness? Where are we happy being at? And as long as we're happy with that, that should be enough for everybody.
Right. I know someone else who shall remain nameless, but I don't know what he does for a living. But the way we became friends is I think he likes Sesame Street, and he shares Sesame Street videos with me a lot of days.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm probably the one who would probably like learn about it and hear about it. But the point is that that's probably his success.
Yeah.
If that's his success, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
If that's what he does every day,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he works around, like I said, but that's what he does every day, and just sitting around sharing Sesame Street videos, that's enough.
Yeah. No, I think that's really important, Sam. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with my listeners that you think is an important message, or something else that you'd like to leave them with today?
Well, I mean, this is just for the world in general, but I think the world could be nice and not be stupid. We get along so much better. Wouldn't you agree?
I would have to say I do agree with that. To a certain degree, we all should be very nice to one another and kinder to one another and have open opinions about everything, right?
Right. I just mean dumb wise, like just being mean to people for no apparent reason.
Yeah. And I think what happens is a lot of times we judge people without actually getting to know the person. And we should really take the time to get to know the person before we make those judgment calls.
Yeah, because that's a problem right there too. If you think about it, you have some taboos like going to rehab, tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
They're all rehabs, and they're like success with the not successful. They're associated with the not successful part.
Yeah.
Well, you could be right. You could 100% right. Their appearance might match the same as their character, but maybe not.
Right.
I know a guy who's tattooed all over from head to toe. What if I told you he's one of the nicest person alive?
Oh, absolutely. Don't judge a book by its cover.
100%.
100%.
And he's an executive chef. So yeah, way more successful than most people I know out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Sam, for coming on today. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
You can find me on my website, autismrocksandrolls.com. But you can also find me on your favorite media platform like Podbean, iTunes, all the podcast websites out there. And if you Google me, something will pop up.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for being on today with us, Sam.
You're welcome. It was great to be here.